What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Show with another video, and today we're talking about the best mafia family in anime. We're talking about Hitman Reborn, man. It's a blast from the past, really nostalgic, I'm not gonna lie. Fun fact, before we start this video, fun fact, the Vongolia rings was the first like piece of anime merchandise that I actually bought. I did have Naruto headbands, but I did not buy them, so that doesn't count. That is actually the first thing of anime that I actually ever bought. This used to be my favorite series back in the day. I think this was before I had discovered Gintama, and I think Gintama gives me the same feelings that I get from this, but just kind of tenfold. I really do love it, and you'll see a video on it someday, eventually. But for right now, man, we're talking about the OG, man. We're talking about a very underrated shonen. Probably to me, when somebody says give me an underrated show, I would probably choose this, to be honest. I was really sad when the anime ended. You know, I went and read all the manga, and you know, I really enjoyed the series throughout. I thought it was great. Now, before we really get into the video, let's talk about the synopsis real quick. So our main character, Suna, is a typical high school student. Little does he know, his life is about to change forever when a mysterious hitman named Reborn bursts into his life. Now, the cool thing about this hitman is that this hitman is a baby. I know already it sounds ridiculous, and yes, it kind of is ridiculous, but it makes a lot of sense, and the anime clarifies a lot of it up, and the manga just kind of finishes the whole story in itself. You basically have this baby that's a hitman, and his baby that's a hitman is trying to groom Suna to be the boss of a mafia clan named Vongolia. He wants Suna to be, I believe it's the 10th head of the mafia family, and basically by doing that, Suna will, you know, give the strength back to the Vongolia mafia family. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they need their rightful ruler type thing. Now, while I won't really spoil any arcs here, just in case you guys want to check it out and want to watch it, if you want me to do like an arc breakdown to it, I definitely can. Just let me know. I will say this as far as the synopsis goes: even though Suna basically is reluctant and he's very unprepared for what he has to go do, you know, he finds himself thrust in the middle of this dangerous world, you know, and has a lot of powers and supernatural abilities, and you know, with the help of Reborn, who's a very central figure in the anime and manga, and with the help of his own mafia family, he basically is trying to fulfill his destiny to become the Vongolia boss. As he progresses, he faces a lot of formidable opponents, you know, rival mafia families, you know, trying to solidify his claim to be the boss. That was great art, by the way. And you know, it shows you kind of things of friendship and loyalty, and you know, kind of making your own family. And it can also be very comedic and, you know, over the top at sometimes, but it's definitely just good anime to watch. It's not nothing too deep, but it's good enough for somebody to really enjoy it. Now, this is the disclaimer for this actual show. Now, when I first watched the show, I didn't realize what type of show it was going to be, because the show actually changes on you after the first season. See, from what I've heard, I don't know if it's true. I tried to look it up, but I seen something that may correlate to it being true, but you know, the rumor was so old back then. It's like, I'm just gonna say, it's basically rumored that the manga of Hitman Reborn was supposed to be a comedy, or at least it was acting like a comedy in the first part of the manga. So that's why the first season is sort of a slice of life comedy type of anime. But I heard that the sales weren't really doing that well, so it transitioned to strictly being a battle manga. There's a lot of evidence in the anime to kind of back this up though, because when you watch the first part of the anime, the whole entire really first season of the anime is a lot of comedic relief, and it's a lot of slice of life. You might get battles here and there, but it's not necessarily nothing that's really crazy. And then it seems like it takes a tonal shift. Like once you find your first real villain, it feels like the tone shifts a little bit, and it stops being more about high school and, you know, being about actually becoming the Vongolia boss, actually fighting different mafia members. It starts to become a little bit more mature, a little bit more darker. It just had a complete transitional change. This also mentions earlier when I mentioned Gintama. Gintama is my favorite anime because I feel like Gintama has the perfect balance of comedy while also having a perfect balance of, and I'm not necessarily saying that tone shift changed the anime for me, because honestly, I like the slice of lifeness of it. I thought it was cool, but when it really switched and got in his bag, that's when it just kind of went a whole nother level for me. Now, mind you, now it was more than just being a mafia story, even after the tonal shift. You know what I'm saying? It has those kind of friendship vibes and stuff, and it has a very interesting arc where everything seems more hopeless, but you know, in the end, you rely on your friends and you'll get through it okay. Now, my thing is, right, me personally, this is an old, like early 2000s anime. I believe it came out around 2006 or somewhere around in that era. The anime itself is a really good watch. I think it holds up to a certain degree. Now, obviously, if you've been watching Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, and all of these like newer animated shows, even Mashoka Tensei. If you've been watching these shows and they've just been going ham with the intense and amazing animation, then obviously you might not really want to go back to watching this. It's dated, you know what I'm saying? It's pretty old at this point. Now, I do want to talk about the possibility of a remake. A lot of like the Crunchyroll, I think, been sharing like scenes and something for the end. And they do this a lot though. This doesn't necessarily mean a remake, but I think it definitely needs one because Yu Hakusho is apparently getting a remake. That's already been announced and been confirmed. And you know, they did the same thing with Hunter x Hunter. I feel like this is an anime that needs to be remastered or needs to be remade or something like that. But honestly, it makes sense why they might not do it, because in reality, once you look at anime as a tool to sell more merchandise, and the fact that the manga is completely done and they're pretty much just done with that as a whole, and they're probably not going to bring it back, then you know it makes sense. Now granted, they could pull a Chainsaw Man where they finish it and then kind of reboot the series as the anime comes, because Chainsaw Man anime was so hype, it just seemed like the series just popped back up all of a sudden, the manga at least. So they could do something like that. I would honestly love to see more in the world of Hitman Reborn. I know that the ending kind of gave me a complete ending. Like some shows kind of give you the concept of an ending that is complete, like totally complete, done and finished, and you don't want to kind of go back and change it. Something like Code Geass. But then you have like endings like Hitman Reborn, which also they're done, but I could actually explore a little bit more into the world. I think some of the stuff needs to be expanded on. Look at Bleach right now. You know, the manga artist for Bleach is basically using the 1,000-year Blood War arc to kind of retcon some of the stuff in the story that he didn't have time to change due to, you know, time constraints. So I definitely feel like this could be valuable. I feel like enough people would get to it. Rurouni Kenshi's come back and just get a remake now. Definitely gonna check that out. Hopefully we can get a remake for this. I really do love this anime. This was my favorite anime before Gintama, and that was a lot of years, you know, before I actually watched the show. It still holds a very special place in my heart, you know, specifically because I would watch it over and over again. It was just such a good shonen to me. It felt like the shonen that wasn't Naruto, you know what I'm saying? Like, wasn't one of the big three, wasn't Fairy Tail, you know, it wasn't very, very hyped. It was big, don't get me wrong, it was big for its time, but it wasn't like a very mainstream thing. So kind of like an unmainstream shonen, if that's even the case. With that being said, guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video.